The Battle of Hastings in 1066 is one of the most transformative events in English history. It marked the culmination of the Norman Conquest, the defeat of the Anglo-Saxon King Harold II by Duke William of Normandy, and the beginning of a new chapter in England's political, social, and cultural evolution. This battle was not only a decisive military encounter but also a turning point that reshaped the future of England, leaving an enduring legacy that still resonates today. The roots of the conflict lay in the complex web of succession disputes following the death of King Edward the Confessor in January 1066. Edward had ruled England for over 2 decades but died childless, leaving no clear heir to the throne. This lack of a direct successor created a power vacuum and sparked competing claims to the English crown. The Council of England's most powerful nobles and clergy, selected Harold Godwinson, the Earl of Wessex and one of the most powerful men in England, as the new king. Harold was crowned as King Harold II shortly after Edward's death, but his claim was immediately challenged by 2 formidable rivals, Duke William of Normandy and King Harald Hardrada of Norway. William, Duke of Normandy, claimed that Edward had promised him the English throne years earlier during a visit to Normandy. Additionally, William alleged that Harold had sworn an oath to support his claim, a promise that Harold had supposedly broken by accepting the crown for himself. Across the North Sea, Harald Hardrada of Norway, one of the most feared warriors of his age, also asserted a claim to the throne based on Viking ties to the English crown. These competing claims set the stage for one of the most dramatic years in English history. In the summer of 1066, England faced the threat of invasion on 2 fronts. Harald Hardrada, allied with Harold's estranged brother Tostig Godwinson, launched an invasion from the north. Hardrada's forces landed in Yorkshire, and Harold too had no choice but to march his army north to confront this threat. On September 25, 1066, Harold defeated the Norwegian forces at the Battle of Stanford Bridge, a bloody conflict that ended in the deaths of Hardrada and Tostig. This victory was a significant achievement for Harold, as it effectively ended the Viking threat to England. However, it came at a great cost. Harold's army was exhausted and depleted after the grueling battle and the long march north. Just days after the victory at Stamford Bridge, Harold received news that Duke William of Normandy had landed on England's southern coast. William's fleet had crossed the English Channel, landing at Pevensey on September 28, 1066. William's invasion was a meticulously planned operation. He had spent months assembling a powerful army, consisting of Norman knights, Breton cavalry, Flemish mercenaries, and well-trained infantry. His fleet of ships, specially constructed for the invasion, demonstrated the scale of his ambition and preparation. Upon landing, William quickly established a base and began raiding the surrounding areas to secure supplies and provoke Harold into action. Harold responded with remarkable speed. Despite the fatigue of his army, he marched his forces south, covering nearly 200 miles in just over 2 weeks. This rapid movement demonstrated Harold's determination to confront the Norman invaders without delay. On October 14, 1066, the 2 armies met at Sandlak Hill, near the town of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings began early in the morning and lasted for most of the day. Harold's forces, primarily composed of housecarls, his elite, professional soldiers and the fired, a militia of local levies, positioned themselves on the high ground of Sandlak Hill. The Anglo-Saxon army employed the traditional shield wall tactic, a dense and formidable formation designed to repel enemy attacks. This defensive strategy initially gave Harold's forces an advantage, as they were able to withstand the Norman assaults. William's army, on the other hand, was a diverse and well-equipped force. It included a mix of infantry, cavalry, and archers, giving William greater tactical flexibility. The battle opened with volleys of arrows from the Norman archers, followed by infantry and cavalry charges. However, the shield wall held firm, repelling the initial Norman attacks. The situation grew tense for William's forces, and at one point, rumors spread that William himself had been killed. To rally his troops, William removed his helmet and rode through his lines, proving that he was still alive and leading the charge. The turning point of the battle came when William employed a brilliant tactical maneuver. He ordered his forces to execute feigned retreats, pretending to flee in disorder. This tactic lured parts of Harold's army away from their strong defensive position on the hill. As these segments of Harold's forces broke formation to pursue the retreating Normans, they were exposed and vulnerable to counterattacks. The Normans capitalized on these openings, gradually breaking down the shield wall. By late afternoon, the battle was reaching its climax. The Normans launched a final assault, combining cavalry, infantry, and archery to overwhelm the remaining Anglo-Saxon forces. According to legend, Harold too was killed during this phase of the battle. The famous depiction of his death in the Bayeux tapestry shows Harold struck in the eye by an arrow, though other accounts suggest he was cut down by Norman knights. With Harold's death, the Anglo-Saxon army lost its leader, and their resistance crumbled. Many of Harold's remaining troops fled, leaving William victorious. The aftermath of the Battle of Hastings was transformative for England. With the Anglo-Saxon leadership decimated, William began consolidating his power. He advanced toward London, encountering little resistance as he went. By December 25, 1066, William was crowned King of England at Westminster Abbey, officially establishing Norman rule over the country. The Norman conquest brought profound changes to England. Politically, William introduced the feudal system, redistributing land to his Norman supporters and replacing much of the Anglo-Saxon aristocracy with Norman nobles. This created a new social hierarchy based on loyalty and military service to the king. Culturally, the Normans introduced new architectural styles, most notably castles, which served as both defensive structures and symbols of Norman authority. The Tower of London, constructed on William's orders, is one of the most iconic examples of Norman architecture. The conquest also had a lasting impact on the English language and culture. Norman French became the language of the ruling class, blending with Old English over time to form Middle English. This linguistic fusion enriched the English vocabulary and shaped the language we speak today. In addition, the Normans restructured the English Church, replacing Anglo-Saxon bishops with Norman clergy and aligning the Church more closely with Rome. The legacy of the Battle of Hastings is still evident in England today. The site of the battle is commemorated at Battle Abbey, built by William as an act of penance for the bloodshed. The Norman conquest marked the end of Anglo-Saxon dominance and the beginning of a new era, forever altering the political, cultural, and social fabric of England. It stands as a testament to the power of strategy, leadership, and the far-reaching consequences of historical events.